Okay, let's record this because I've been wanting to talk about this. Romance, love, passion, porking, however you want to call it. It's interesting how a romance plays such a huge part on Attack on Titan, right? But a lot of people felt like they had a surprise baby, like, honey, guess what? I'm pregnant. Moment when it was revealed in the ending. Spoiler alert, that Mikasa and Eren had romantic feelings for each other. They felt like, oh my god, where did this come from? Just got sucker punched in the face. Well, here's the thing. A lot of the comments of people that didn't like the ending that I got to see was the fact that they said that, amongst a lot of things, but I'm just pointing one specific one, was the romance between Eren and Mikasa. That never happened. How the fuck did that happen? It was completely unprovoked, and it just poof, it's there. You're eating Thanksgiving dinner. You look around, and then you see your two cousins making out. Like, how the fuck does that happen? Well, here's the thing. There's two things that I want you to have in perspective, okay? Your culture and the author's culture. Now, why do I say this? A lot of the comments that I saw on people not agreeing or like feeling surprised that Mikasa and Eren were a thing came from people here in the US and other parts of the world that were not necessarily in Japan. uh and a lot of the comments were like, hey, I just didn't feel like this was explicit. Like, how did this happen? This was never set up. How? And I'm here to kind of let you know one thing, that it was set up. But in order to see it, you need to not think of it as your love concept in media for your own culture, but the love concept of the author's culture. Let's remember that Japan is a country that does have romance, obviously, but is way more subtle than in the United States. And I'm just pointing at United States because those were the majority of the comments that I saw. In the United States, it's very easy to see two people making out and having sex on the first date on media. And that's kind of normal. And you're like, okay, but not in Japanese romance anime. You see a lot of build up just to barely like touch hands. And that was like enough for them to get, their panties soaked. So let's put that into perspective. Your perception of love and romance might be way more explicit than the one in Japan. And now we're talking about Attack on Titan, a story that is from the very beginning very real, very grounded in human emotions. So it's not going to be as explicit as you might want it to be. So that might be the first cause of why you didn't see it from the beginning. So understand that from the get go, because there are a lot of subtle hints on why this happens. So let me point out some of these subtle things. First off, when Eren saves Mikasa and he wraps the scarf around her. Um, in Japan, you don't share that much unless you have some sort of like interest in the person. I mean, that's why sharing an umbrella under the rain is such a declaration of love per se. So here, not only do we see Eren having some protective feelings over Mikasa because he's like, no, don't be cold, but also we see Mikasa blush, like she gets the little girl crush, like she feels protected, and you can see that something starts happening there. Now, do I think that the show kind of like poorly conveyed at the beginning that these two were kind of like brother and sister kind of thing? Yes, it wasn't like super clear that they weren't brother and sister, and that's, I think, where most of the confusion comes. So whenever you see hints of love and appreciation, you don't see it as, oh, it's because they're two different people that like each other. It's because they're clearly brother and sister. But the show does like move out. Like, remember, these two lived under the same household for less than a year or 2 years. Like, it was a very brief moment in time that they spent together as like step siblings. God damn it, that sounded so wrong. But anyways, moving on. Let's let's look at the progression of Eren and Mikasa as they are training, you know, through through being cadets into the scout regiment. You can see the clear borderline obsession Mikasa has with Eren. Eren um is always the one to like call the shots, and she's always caring about him, and you see how he cares about her too, by the way he talks and everything. So first season happens, but then we get to the most clear point of the romance, which is on season 2, when they're about to get eaten by the smiling titan, and Mikasa says, "Hey, just stay with me. Like we're gonna die anyways, bro. Like let's just let's just go out with some smooches." And she leans in to kiss him. That is fucking clear. She's leaning in to get kiss, to get a smoochy smooch. What does Eren do? He is like, you know what? No, fuck that. No, I care for you, and I'm not going to give up, because that's Eren. Eren has a clear drive to survive, to fight, to tatakai, tatakai. You know, so Eren says, you know what? You know, no. Right now is not the time to say goodbye. You are grateful that I wrapped that scarf around you and that it means the world to you, and I will do it. And he says that I will wrap the scarf around you as many times as needed, over and over and over again. And he says that as he says, I'm going to protect this now. So he goes, and not even thinking that he was going to win, protects her and wins the battle. But that's a clear indication of his love for her, because in the down moment, right as they were about to lose the battle, he decides to protect her, to give her a couple more seconds of life, you know. So it's very clear with what he says, that no, I will wrap the scarf around you as much as much as you want, because she clearly states that the scarf means her love to him. So that was his way of reciprocating, saying, yes, I do feel kind of the same. I do feel like that I want to protect you, that I want to be there for you, that I'm reciprocating your love by telling you that I understand what the scarf means to you, and I will give it to you over and over and over and over again, as many times as needed. Then, obviously, by this point, a lot of people probably picked up on it. That's when I, like, legit, that's when I picked up that these two clearly love each other. That this is not a what are you doing, step bro type of situation. This is like a legit, these two love each other. But um let's remember again, Isayama is not as explicit with this thing. We have another romance, which is Armin and Annie. They're not as explicit either. They do have their blushing moments, they do have their little exchanges and everything. It's subtle. We do have romance in the series, but it's subtle. There's subtle hints. Now, I think most of the confusion that comes from this is because Eren and Mikasa started as living together, and a lot of people just got the idea that, oh no, they're just siblings, and that's it. That's where it ends, or they see each other as siblings instead of seeing the rest of the hints, you know. Then the other major part of all of this is the moment they arrive to Marley for the first time, and Eren shares an ice cream with Mikasa, and you see them super happy, and it's such a beautiful moment. But later that night, Eren is looking into the horizon, and he's crying as he sees this kid go to his camp, and Mikasa catches up to him, and he asks the question, What am I to you? And then you see Mika's answer. You're like family. You're like my family. And he says, this feelings that you have, are this family, or like are we something else? Like, say it right now. And she flusters, she blushes, and she says family. Now, a lot of people might have taken that as like, clearly, yeah, they were family from the get go. But if you didn't see her reaction of flustering and being caught off guard, then you can notice 100%. She just said whatever she could to, like, in a moment of desperation of like, I am caught off guard, like I don't know what to respond, because I don't know if you feel the same way. Like, she went on the safe route, and she said family, and clearly Eren was disappointed. Like, please look at that. Look at that scene again, and don't tell me that this is not a human reaction when you, like, imagine the girl got caught off guard and she flustered and fumbled. And because Mikasa fumbled, Eren rumbled. But later in the season, we see that if she had said, no, baby girl, like, I mean, no, baby boy, I do want you. I do want you. He would have said, okay, fuck the rumbling. Let's go out and live this last 4 years that I have happily ever after. Because that's what he wanted. So these are just like the main points that I have. Obviously, there are other subtle things, but just like right off the top, because I don't have time to like put B-roll and everything, so I'm trying to just paint the picture and everything. To just give you like the instances where it's clear that they do have feelings for each other. Like, remember, they might not be as explicit as you may be used to it, especially because these hints obviously are way more subtle than a romance anime. But this is not a romance anime. A romance plays part of it, but this is not a romance anime, and the characters are incredibly human. So you have to take into consideration the part of the culture that the characters were created from. The characters were created from a Japanese culture where romance is way more subtle, way more reserved than the one you might be used to. So, anyways, hopefully this can clear up a little bit of the "it was never set up" comment of Eren and Mikasa's love. But yes, it was definitely set up. It was from the get go, and I can understand how people got confused that they saw them first as quote unquote siblings, and they just stuck with that vision throughout the series, and then they were left out like, oh wait, what? So yeah, I can see that. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Bye.